software, I should say, to do it. So it took like about 4 different softwares in order to animate an image. It usually took like a day or 2 per image. Mm-hmm. So I said, if anybody could ever develop a software app that can do this very easily, this would be amazing and a game changer for photography. So that's what we set out to do.
Oh, wonderful. So while you were launching this app, launching app is not an easy thing, and it is a saturated market. How did you learn, or what was the process of making your app stand out? I mean, beyond the fact that it's absolutely amazing, were there things, were there, books you were reading or ways that you were marketing it or showing it off that really made you stand out amongst the other apps that were launching at the same time?
Well, we didn't really have any competition at the time. Sasha and I basically developed this technique. We were living in Manhattan. We're on 42nd Street, and we basically buried ourselves in the apartment for months. And we did it. But for when we first launched, we first launched on Mac PC, mm-hmm. and we launched our beta, and we charged $300 per year. The only way you could buy it was $300 per year. And of course, everybody told me I was crazy. Who's going to do this? And we did like $250,000 within the first month of launching. Yeah, it blew up. And so what we did is we kind of befriended some influencers, and it's funny because people either get it or they don't right off the bat. So the people who got it were like, we want those early adopters. That's what I was shooting for, is the early adopters who wanted to stand out from the competition. And that's basically the key lines that I would use. You want to stand out from the competition, animate your images. Yeah. So the first month, of course, we thought we were set. We're like, yes, this is amazing. And then, of course, you got the first pop, and then it's like a lot of hard work after that to kind of keep things going and maintaining. And then we just kept changing all the time because we launched beta. And we're just a young company. We had to get some income in. We put it out there. And so we kept updating it. Like every 2 weeks, we'd have an update. And our customers loved it. A lot of times, I'd get advice of, you should only update an app once a year, and that's typical, or twice at the most. And I'm like, well, we're dead if we do that. So we just kept going and updating it. And of course, our early adopters just loved it. And they, like, oh, I would love this feature. And we're like, yeah, we're working on that. And so it was kind of like a good camaraderie between the customers and the team and I, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, it sounds like it's been working out very well because your app has been winning awards and being showcased in a lot of different areas. Where do you see this going in the future?
Well, right now we have a social platform, a digital sharing platform, social platform for motion art. So what I'm doing right now is I'm like the Pied Piper of motion art, because we have this whole realm, this whole new industry that nobody really has a handle on yet. Mm-hmm. We have people using After Effects and Photoshop and now Plotaverse with all the different apps. And we have a morphing app now and stuff too. So all these looping images, people are putting them out there and they're seeing how much more engagement they're getting. And now we have motion artists who basically that's all they do. Like we have a lot of retouchers now who, as you kind of go down the line, I think even for myself, I was getting bored with just shooting photography because, there's so many photographers now, and we've kind of been there, done that. Everybody's seen almost everything at this point in photography. And the younger generations really are kind of like anything moving. They have such a short attention span, so you really have to catch them quickly. So that's the motion art's perfect for that, both for influencers or photographers and brands especially, because if they're shooting, they're going out and they have like a $100,000 budget. This is one thing I gotta scream like, come on, you spend all this time doing the shoot. If you could literally triple your engagement by spending 5 minutes in the Plotagraph app. Yeah. Animate your image, put it out there, and it's almost guaranteed you're going to get more engagement than you will off of a still image. So that's the magic of motion art, and that's what I'm really passionate about is creating all these apps within this realm. Plotaverse, to answer your question, Plotaverse that we've put out there now, we have Instagram, which is obviously very popular. That's it goes without saying, everybody's on Instagram, it seems, right, in the art world. Yeah. But with motion art, most of the image is stationary. A lot of it's stationary, and Instagram posts everything in standard definition. It takes all videos and reduces it down to standard definition. So what my team and I did is everything that you see on Plotaverse is high def, and it works on mobile, tablet, and desktop. So I wanted a platform for artists to be able to, like, if they're going to go and they're going to show their work to an art director or whatever it might be, nobody's going to get booked. I mean, maybe they will, but that's not preference to use your phone. Oh, I'm on Instagram. Check out my work, on your phone. So we're like, no, this is no good. We need to go next level. So everything that we do is high definition all the way up to desktop. So if the art director's sitting there with a 27-inch iMac or whatever they're using, they could see beautifully how beautiful the art is instead of it being standard definition. And a lot of times on Instagram, you can't even necessarily see it looping on desktop.
I see. So when young photographers approach you nowadays, what's some bad advice that you hear them being told all the time?
Like, honestly, go, being an Instagram influencer. If you're just starting, like, just the way that the algorithms are now with the different social platforms, it's like it's going to be really hard to catch up, So that's one of the things that we're doing over here at Plotaverse is we're creating, a place where the brands, agencies, and the artists live together. They're literally, we have them categorized right next to each other. So you could really kind of cut to the chase within motion art to show it that way. And to answer your question as far as the advice for young photographers, I started when I was in 1984 or whatever it was, And I don't really even want to claim to be able to tell them other than just to work really hard and to stand out, And the thing is, for me, I always shot for being the best in the world. Like that, for me, that's the only thing that mattered. Like I wasn't really, interested in working in a small market or anything like that. So my mindset is, how can I be the best at what I can do, period. And in that case with photography, a lot of the budgets are moving away, and and once again, it's so saturated that motion art, I think, is the way to go for a new photographer. If a new photographer starts out and they begin with motion art, they're going to leapfrog over guys like myself, my age, I'm 48 now, who are kind of stuck in that same realm. They don't know what else to do. So start expanding your horizons and knowing that just, as far as being a still photographer, it doesn't have to be a still at the end. If that makes any sense, because most everything is viewed now on digital screens. So there's really not a reason for it to be stationary anymore. And photography always is about capturing that image and capturing the essence of that moment, which of course is amazing and it's so cool. But in a lot of realms now, I'm thinking more like next level is like, what else? It's almost like when Photoshop first came out, and you're able to do these things. I remember this is probably like in 1995 or 1996. I had a male model argue with me. Cause I did some retouching on images. Hey, what do you think of this? That's not real photography. That's not real. That's cheating. And so I had this whole thing like, dude, this is the future. What are you talking about? No, so there's always been that mindset of if it changes or something's different, it's not pure. And I have a lot of purist photographers who are like, you're bastardizing photography. It's supposed to be stationary and still. I'm like, what? It's not supposed to be anything. Everything has its reason. So if you're new to the industry, I don't know, man, because it's just such eye candy and you get so much more attention off of it.
Yeah. So if there was someone, a college student listening to this today and they were really interested in getting involved in the industry, what would you say are some of the basic pieces of equipment they should buy right away?
Well, first of all, if you're in college for photography, just stop. Like, honestly. I mean, let's just start there. I hate to say that, but photography's so easy now. We no longer have film where you had to be like right on the money with your exposure and light meter and all these other things. Use your money in a different way. Like in gear and just researching. There's so many ways to learn photography now, and even so many apps that are really Awesome. But the whole key is to just shoot. Like, how many times have you pressed that shutter? That's the answer. Is you just keep pushing that shutter, getting better, and honing your craft, and putting a good presentation together.
Yeah. In your own career, when you've hit times when you were fearful or apprehensive, how did you push past those times?
I don't know. I just always have been very motivated, very self-motivated, and just never gave up. But there were a lot of those times, of course. It's just, photography is one of those things. It's like you get this really great gig and you're like, woo! And there's like, ah! and then in the commercial world, a lot of it is, you get a great gig, but you're not going to get paid for 3 to 6 months, after you get the booking, because, they book you the next 30 or 60 days and then they pay deposit. It's a whole different realm. And that's basically the realm that I lived in for 30 years. And now it's just the competition, the way that it's set up. I have top photographers in the world now. Actually, just this morning, I had a photographer sending me images live right off of a shoot, standing there with art directors of national brands, and he's showing them the images as we're going,
Oh, wow. It's amazing on how technology's gone so far.
Yeah.
So in your own career, what would you say has been the best investment you've ever made?
Good cameras and lenses. That's the core. And then really putting a lot into presentation.
Is there a particular brand of camera that you prefer over another, or is it just, whatever that was at the time?
I've shot almost every camera there is. Back in the day during film, Pentax 6.7, RZ, Contax 645. And I've been shooting now with Canon. I've had a Canon in my hand for probably 30 years. Really like the Canon cameras, although Sony's coming up and really kicking butt, and the younger generation's loving the Sonys too. And they look like good cameras too. So it just, they all kind of do the same thing. It's like, what's your concept? What are you shooting? And how efficient are you at getting the shot?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk briefly about just the business side of your career. As you went along, how did you, was there an agent that you were working with, or a business manager? Were there, things you had to learn along the way that you wish you would have known sooner, just about, getting paid, how much to charge? How did you learn, the business side of your craft?
Well, I was represented by Janice Moses out of New York City for like 8 years, and I've also repped out of LA for a few years. So just kind of diving into the higher echelon there, and of course getting your book together to where you can get an agent, because they have all the data. They know what the rates are, the going rates for certain things and usage and all these other things. I wish photography was a little bit better at coming together, in a professional sort of way. Like the film industry did a really good job as far as standardizing a lot of stuff, where the photography world is kind of like the Wild West still. In the higher echelon of things, there are, standard day rates and usages and that sort of thing. But, once again, you can't know it all. So it's just making those relationships with people who do know that information. And the business part of photography, of course, is so important.
Yeah, of course. Sure. So in everything that you've done so far, what would you say has been the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, let's see. I don't know. Nothing comes to mind, actually. It's books. It's just reading. It's just, I think mostly it's just kind of like reading books on life, and I've always been kind of a student of life, and I really just love reading and learning as much as I can about business and human nature, and being a fashion photographer, knowing about human nature and certain things, or I just instinctually will go and I'll actually be silly on purpose in order to make a model laugh, or I'll do things that I can know will engage the model to do something in particular that I want them to do, that sort of thing. So reading books, not even just about photography, but about life, is very helpful.
Sure. Are there some of your favorite books you have on I guess that psychological aspect of putting people at ease and learning about, how to interact with other people?